There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
So Musway may be a newcomer to the DSP arena, but make no mistake, Musway is coming to the table large and in charge with a huge offering of standalone DSPs and DSP integrated amplifiers. To boot, they've got some really slick industrial design and a software that, from what I hear, is quite easy for any technician to get in on. This is CMA Workshop presented by SiriusXM. Today it's all about Musway, and it starts now. So from what I understand, the brand Musway is coming out of Germany, and I've seen it's won quite a few awards. We got introduced to the brand last year through their Canadian distributor, BB Distribution. And from what we've learned so far, it's got a compact form factor, super slick, really kind of high-end look to it, and some companion software that really makes the whole package quite attractive. And to boot, the price is quite attractive as well. Well, let's learn a little bit more, and we'll reach out to our friends at BB Distribution. Today we have with us Mr. Jaron Helmeland. His name is, I'm trying to get it right, Jaron, so don't blame me if I didn't say it properly. He's the technical and category manager for BB Distribution. Did I get it right this time? Please say yes.
You're pretty close.
All right, I'll take that. I'll take that. Thanks for joining us today, Jaron. We're talking about Musway. We're deep into DSP, and this is certainly, like I said, somewhat of a new player in the game, but a player nonetheless that's coming with heavy artillery. What do you think makes Musway a great choice for not only newcomers, but even veterans to the DSP game?
It's definitely a choice for everyone. Like you said, it's a new player to the game for sure. Some of the big hitters that we're going to have on the DSP segments through all these workshops are some of the big names in the industry, and Musway is there to compete with them as well. Like the fit and finish of their DSPs, of their DSP amplifiers are just top notch. They're using high quality components in their DSPs. They're using Burr Brown chipsets, Texas Instruments, digital analog converters. Like they're using a very high end devices within their DSPs and amplifiers that contain DSPs. So they're certainly there to compete with the big boys. Don't let the new name fool you. They have a great product.
I'm going to expand that a little bit. Not only does it look good, I've heard it that it sounds great. I was talking to Marty Adams-Chuck over at Andres, and he loves the product, and he's tuned a few already. He said it was easy to tune. But also, the offering is really smart. Like, it's very strategic how they've come up with the right products. It feels like exactly what dealers are looking for right now. Not to mention a pretty slick DRC to boot.
Yeah, their DRC is great. We'll talk about that a little later in the show, but their offerings are numerous, very well thought out offerings as well. Like their levels make sense for a reason. It's a very common amplifier and DSP in the German car world. And we know of the German car world. It's a huge world over there for them. And it is great product and sounds amazing.
Okay.
We've yet to have a dealer that we've put a Musway into their hands or into a vehicle, and we've heard nothing but good things.
Well, let's hear more about it today. But before we do so, let's kind of set the mood. We've got a video we want to roll out. And when we come back, we're going to bring on our training product expert today, Autumn Davis. But for now, let's watch the video. All right. Well, at this time, we're going to go ahead and invite our product expert to show us why music is the way today. He's the manager over at Certified Radio, but he's also a resident DSP expert and someone who can definitely show us all the ins and outs, especially on the software side when it comes to Musway today. Let's welcome him to the studio, Mr. Autumn Davis.
Hey.
Hey, Autumn. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Now, Autumn, you are no stranger to tuning vehicles and playing with DSPs and all and everything like that. What has your experience been tuning with DSP and playing with it in vehicles so far?
Just in general, it takes a long time to get into DSP. Honestly, it's not something where you can just read a paper or watch a video and expect to do well right out of the, you have to practice. You have to kind of understand what's going on with the vehicle, with all the components in there. And that's kind of one of the reasons why Musway is a good option for a lot of dealers starting out in DSP. Is it's the full package, but it's really simple to use and like Jaron was saying, I mean, it's easy to sell as well because of the price point and just how the product looks.
All right, so tie that together for me. You need to know a lot, like you said, to do DSP properly. There is more than just reading an instruction manual, right? You need some in-car experience and connecting with other, specialists that kind of add to that. But now that you've played with the Musway DSP, how's that experience been?
With the Musway stuff, it's super intuitive in the sense of you don't have to fumble your way through a whole bunch of different things to try to get done what you need to get done. It's almost like there's a process built into it for setting up a DSP, which is really good.
Now, that's what you're speaking to sounds a lot like, I guess the word efficiency comes to mind. And
Absolutely,
efficiency for technicians in the Bay is super important. How do you think installers will embrace it?
I think, everybody from like I said, somebody brand new getting into DSP or even veteran install techs, there's not really any reason not to like it. It makes sense. It works well. It does exactly what you want it to do.
Okay, so today's presentation is kind of broken up into two different parts. Jaron, what are you going to talk about first?
So I'm going to talk about all the products and the hardware side of Musway and what makes Musway a great amplifier and DSP.
Great, and I think there's some new product you'll be touching on today as well, aren't you?
Yes, there is some new ones on that we're going to launch today for you guys.
Beautiful, some great hot product. Okay, and then from there we're going to pass it over to Autumn. And Autumn, what are you going to teach us today?
Oh, I'll just quickly run through the Musway software for you guys and kind of show you how it gets set up and how easy it is to use.
Beauty. Well, I'm not going to get in your way, that's for sure. Let's go ahead and set these gentlemen up so that we can run through first the presentation on product and then followed up by Autumn walking through the software. Take it away, guys.
Thanks, Ben. So we're going to do a quick rundown on the Musway DSP offerings. We're going to start off with their DSPs, and then we'll talk about their DSP amplifiers a little bit. So their kind of flagship top line DSP that they have out there is the Tune 12. So this gives you 8 high-level inputs, 6 low-level inputs, and 12 channels of DSP to play with. So 12 outputs on this. This is a serious DSP for those serious systems out there. It gives you tons of expandability on it. Autumn, when would you use 12 channels of DSP?
Pretty much any of the Euro cars, anything that's coming out with a 3-way up front and maybe a set of components in the rears and a factory subs. Any of the vehicles that have all the parking assist modes and all that stuff where you've got, backup sensors that come through different speakers and stuff like that. You need as many inputs as you can, and to go along with that, you need as many outputs as you can.
So definitely the Tune 12 fits the boat there. The high-level inputs, being able to put in up to 24 volts on those high-level inputs. It also gives you the aux input as well if you want to do a standard auxiliary, optical input, coax input through SPDIF, and it also allows you to use your Bluetooth dongles as well. So and on their high-level inputs, they actually have error protection system. So that's going to recognize that factory system, not throw error codes certainly on there. It also has a high level mix function. So if you are streaming to the DSP using one of their Bluetooth chips, it will sense that the high levels coming through, and there's actually a setting in the software to be able to change it that it will read the navigation prompts coming in, which is a cool feature that Musway does. Definitely helps ease that install and helps out a whole bunch on that. So we Tune 12, just the hardware on it. You got two sides to it, not coming out either end. Beautiful glass top to it. Great looking DSP. Great to show off on the top of it. Talk about the next one, which is going to be. If I can get the mouse to work here. There we go. So the DSP 6 to 8. So this is kind of the step down. Still shares a lot of the similar features that the Tune 12 has. They keep the DNA through the line at Musway. So something that they carry in the top of the line definitely trickles down. The changes are going to be as far as the inputs and outputs capabilities of the DSP. So it still has your auxiliary and optical inputs on it. This will have 6 high level in, 6 low level, and 8 outputs of 6.5 volts. Still includes the error protection system. These DSPs are start-stop compatible, so it will work down to your 5.9 volts on there. And again, sticking with the theme, as you guys saw in the video of this one, with that nice aluminum case. A little bit of a change from the Tune 12 that has a glass top, but still a very refined looking DSP that you can show off. Any added things you can add to the 6 to 8 on them?
Not really. It's a pretty solid piece. We have it on our Focal display board. It's what we use every day for to show off our flagship product. So it's a solid piece. You can't go wrong with it.
And they are still, like, trickle down the line effect on this. They are still using Burr Brown chipsets, Texas Instrument chips. They're using those high quality chips. If a lot of the reviews you see online of these, they actually open up the amplifiers from Germany and they show off the insides, and they're just built. The build quality is really superior on these DSPs. So we're going to step over into their DSP amplifier offerings through the lineup. So this is a new one for us. We just received it in not too long ago. It's the big guy, as we call it, 12 channel Class D amplifier with 16 channels of DSP on board. So it's out there. This is can handle anything type of DSP amplifier, and it still gives you that output and expandability to add the extra amps if you do have that customer that wants more power to the subs, different offerings. So your 12 channels, you're 85 to 120 watts RMS per channel, depending 4 or 2 ohms. Bridgeable 240 watts RMS. And the cool thing on how they set up their chipsets, that any channels are bridgeable and assignable through the DSP on this. So you can share. So if you aren't using channels on there, you can just maximize that output to get that higher level of sound quality out of that amp, a little more power to, say, your door woofers if you have the free channels to be able to do that. It does include the 6 channels of low-level inputs. The RCA is pretty standard if you are wanting to hook it to your standard head unit, but definitely 12 channels with the error protection system up to 24 volts. Should handle most of those Euro cars like Autumn had talked about, those big systems with the 3-ways up front, the center channel, and handle all those inputs to be able to keep that consistent. I was actually reading a bunch of reviews online on some of the Musway product, and it, like we said, it's a newcomer to the industry. Maybe not the industry, just maybe North America, but they're still really prevalent in Germany. So I was reading a whole bunch of German reviews on these, actually. So I was using the Google Translate, and Thank goodness for Google Translate. But one of the things they translated, and I think it's very true for this amplifier, is they called this amplifier DSP setup extremely sociable. And I think that's the word I'm going to use for this amplifier. It's a very sociable DSP amplifier because of the options and the inputs and outputs that you have on this DSP amplifier, that it really is going to work for anything you can throw at it, short of maybe some of those 32 channels out there that you don't want to even walk into that ballpark. But it's a very well-rounded DSP amplifier. Just the organization of it too, to have all the inputs and outputs on Molex connectors coming to one side of the amplifier. Any installer is really going to appreciate that when they're doing the install. It just makes it a lot easier. We've all tried to run those wires and coming out two different sides of the amplifier isn't really helpful, especially when you have 12 to 16 channels to deal with. That the setup is definitely very nice on this. So we're going to run down the line a little bit more. The M6 V3. So this is another one of the offerings of DSP amplifiers from Musway. You're 630 watts total out of this amplifier, 6 by 70 or 105, depending if you're 4 or 2 ohms, 3 by 210 at 4 ohms bridge. So enough power to run a small subwoofer if needed. 6 high level, 6 low level, pretty standard. This is going to be your great all-around system amplifier. So 6 and 6 is kind of the standard across the board. Your tweeters, mids in the front, and then your rear speakers. That's pretty standard system in most vehicles until you step up into some of the luxuries, but you're pretty standard system. So it's going to be able to handle the 6 low-level input or high-level inputs, sorry, and then still give you 2 preamp outputs that are configurable through the DSP for your subs. So you're going to step it up a little bit, add the subs for the customers, and then it gives you 6 channels to deal with DSP, gives you your audio out for that at the proper power, and then the 2 channels of DSP is just a great all-around system. Or you could use it for 3-way fronts, which is just a great setup for this amplifier. Very nice looking aluminum case again. Molex connectors is standard for Musway products. So then we have a slightly different offering on the 8-channel. So it's a little bit different footprint, similar to the M12 in being all on the one side with the Molex connectors, but you're 8 by 75 watts at 2 ohms. So 600 watts RMS out of this little Class D amplifier and 10 channels of DSP. So this will help, having that 8-channel definitely help get into the higher systems with the factory subs. So you have 8 high-level inputs on this amp as well, 2 more outputs, and 10 channels of DSP. So it still allows that output of 4 volts for the subs on there. This also has a reverse line input. So we'll mute the amplifier in the reverse signal to handle the parking sensors if you were streaming through the Bluetooth chips available, or the Bluetooth add-on dongles available for the Musway amplifiers. We'll talk about the accessories a little bit at the end, but pretty much all the offerings Musway has in DSP amplifiers are going to allow that either the high res or just the standard resolution Bluetooth add-on dongle that plugs in USB. They also do have the tuning software capabilities through tablet or phone as well. So this is the D8 V3, and then the next one we have is the M4 Plus V3. So it's a 4-channel Class D with 8 channels of DSP. So the way I kind of equivalent this one to on the sales floor is this is a good stepping stone DSP amplifier. So it's going to give you 4 channels output, but it's also going to give you 4 outputs as well. So you could start with a 4-way active, not a 4-way, a 2-way active setup on the front and use this amplifier to power it. And then down the road, you have the ability to add more and more amplifiers for subs and everything. And it actually shares the exact same chassis as the M6 that we saw previously. So that kind of definitely cuts down on production and R&D costs for these amplifiers. Still very high quality made amplifiers using high quality components inside. This amp will give you 540 watts total RMS out of it. 6 high level inputs. Still has your standard aux RCA input and your optical inputs on it as well. So definitely, like I said, kind of down the line, a lot of that DNA shares through their lineup to have, like, the optical is available on all their DSP amplifiers. High level inputs, the error protection system is available on all their DSP amplifiers and their DSPs. Just standard DNA down the line for sure. And then we'll talk about accessories a little bit as well. So DRC1 is, I know Autumn has this on his display board at the store, their Focal display board. And it's just a great looking remote with the OLED display. Lets you adjust the volumes, the presets, sub volume, the master volume. Just, it's really a great looking piece that's certainly not going to be out of place in any vehicle that you mount that controller in, whether it be flushed in or surface mounted without aluminum trim ring and aluminum knob. It's definitely a go-to piece for sure. And then we also have the BTA2, so the Bluetooth dongle for audio streaming and app control. So it is available on all the amplifiers and DSPs that I've talked about today. Gives you the tuning software. Autumn's going to go over the software pretty soon here, computer style, but this also allows you to do adjustments. Say you have that really techie customer that wants to start getting into the DSP once you set it up. It will allow adjustments, or the installer to come back and adjust, not having to plug in their computer. They can connect their phone to it. And it does allow for audio streaming as well. There is one more piece that we don't have a slide on. It is the BTS HD. So that's the high res streaming piece from Musway for their amplifiers. So 96K streaming quality on it, your high resolution Bluetooth 5.0 on that piece. So that's your customer that's really looking to bring their sound quality up to the next level on that. And that's all we have for the product breakdown here. Autumn, anything to add on products, hardware side?
From the install side of things, I mean, that DRC, like you said, it's a great looking piece, but it's also small. It's about the size of a Zippo lighter. So really it can be flushed into pretty much anywhere in a vehicle, which makes it super easy. I know some of the controllers out there right now are pretty big, and it's hard on something like a Tesla or a Mercedes or whatever. It's hard to find a spot to actually put something like that in there. So
yeah, not having to build big panels to
exactly
hide a control knob for your DSP, right?
Yeah, and then as for the Bluetooth streaming, we have the BTS HD on the Focal board as well, and I got to say the range on it is amazing. We probably get 40 to 50 feet of range on that thing.
Now that's impressive. I hope you're not 40 to 50 feet out of your vehicle, but
yeah, no, it's a great product line. I will say that just for people that were looking at, the input voltages and stuff, these are fully integrated amplifiers that are supposed to be, or that are designed to be used in vehicles with amplified systems. They do rate it in RMS ratings, so the peaks are actually quite a bit higher than that. you know, a lot of people, if they're getting into the BMW or Mercedes side of things, it's not uncommon to see, you know, 30 or 35 volts out of a factory system. The peak power rating will handle that. The math behind it basically is 1.4 times RMS will give you your peak. So most of these amplifiers will handle above 30 volts input, no problem.
Good to know.
Yeah. That's what I got.
Thanks for your input, Tony. So should we go on and talk about the software side a bit, I guess?
I think we should, yeah. Let's do that. All right. So Jaron, you've seen this software before, I think, eh?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. What do you think of it right out of the gate?
As a not a DSP guru like Autumn Davis is, it might be it might be slightly overwhelming to the beginner just to see definitely a lot of numbers on the page, but the layout makes sense, and to have it all laid out as such is definitely not, there's nothing hidden about it, not trying to hide and find secret menus and what's this, how did I adjust this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was my first kind of take on it as well. It's just I opened it up and it's like, wow, it's all right there. This, you know, I don't have to try to search for anything. I don't have to, you know, go into the forums and try to see if somebody else, if there's a secret setting somewhere that I need to adjust or anything like that. So that was really nice. And we'll go through the whole setup here. It's just for the input side of things, you've got all your labels on the side here, and the summing or the mixing portion of it is actually pretty intuitive. You can really, once you get your channels of input set up, you can come through here and you can select which channels you want to sum into your outputs, which makes it really easy for beginners. You don't have to you know, write a map on a piece of paper and try to figure it all out that way. So first in, this is it. This is the software. It's pretty much the same thing you're going to see on the app. You've got this is the input volume mixer here. This is what you were talking about a little earlier. So you can assign the you can turn down all of the input volumes for different channels. And that will go through onto the output side as well. So if you're doing summing or something like that and you need to mix a few channels together, you can actually really dial in the levels of each of those channels that you're summing so that you have a nice smooth output to deal with on the output side things. And then once you first get into a DSP, the first thing you're going to want to kind of do is you're going to want to set up the channel assignments. So we'll just quickly go through. You just double click on that. It shows you which channel you have here. And you're just going to go through and you're going to label them. Left front tweeter. And we'll kind of do a full setup here just on a basic kind of system. We'll do right front tweeter here.
Yeah, definitely the ability to name them, I think, is really helpful for sure. Because I remember doing days of tuning and you had to write down on a piece of paper, okay, which one was channel 1, which one was channel 2, or you had RCAs labeled if anyone went back in. So this allows, if someone were to come into your software, they would know, okay, this is, if I'm moving this or adjusting my EQ of this, I know which speaker I'm dealing with here, not playing the guessing game of how this person would have thought it out for sure.
Exactly, and that's the biggest thing about efficiency in a shop is if you do have to bring it back into the shop for whatever reason, and say the guy who did the initial installation isn't in that day or whatever happens there, you want somebody to be able to go into there and know exactly what's going on in there without having to go through the whole painful process of trying to figure out what channels do what and what's summed together and, you know, all that jazz.
Because
Just-
everyone thinks the same in the Bay, right?
Yeah, everybody.
Just robots.
Yeah. Okay, so what I've done here is I've set up left, right tweeters, left and right mids. I left channels 5 and 6, 7 and 8 actually blank for now because I'm going to show you that bridge thing that you were talking about earlier. So this little BTL up here, that's basically the selector to turn on the bridge tied load for getting 204. I think you said it was 240 watts on these ones bridged, right?
Yeah.
So that'd be great for a really, you know, really high-end mid-bass driver or something that requires a ton of power. So we're going to do that here. So once you click that BTL, it actually ties the amplifier chips, channels 5 and 6 together, and it makes that one channel. So now they're linked together there, and we're going to do the same on this one here. And then we're going to name them. This will be the channel 5 and 6. We'll change to the left. We'll just call it bass. And then we can do the same on this channel here, and this will be right. Bass. So now we've got a fully active three-way setup in the front. We've got our two rear, we'll just call them coaxials for this time. We're not going to go any further than that. So we got left and right rears. We do have another output here for if you wanted to do a center channel, or there were maybe on you know, some of the other Euro vehicles with the surround. They actually have some rear surround speakers, so you could amplify those as well if you wanted. Channels 13, 14, 15, and 16 are going to be your low level outputs. So we usually use those for subwoofers. And once you get those set up, we can go 13, we'll go sub, we'll save that, and we'll go channel 14 sub as well. Okay, and then if we go up here into sub setup, we can actually assign those two channels so that when you go into the DRC and you go to the sub volume setting, you can have it select, you can have it control any of these if you want. If you have a center channel, you know, customers sometimes want weird things. Maybe they want to turn the rear speakers up and down, stuff like that. You can do that just by assigning the DRC sub output to control those channels. So we could, if the guy wasn't running a sub, the customer, and they wanted to control the rear speakers, we could actually just do that. And now the sub volume on the DRC would control the level of the rear speakers. So that's kind of a neat feature there. But we'll leave it as sub. And then channels 15 and 16, those will just hang out for a while because we don't need them right now. So like I said, the input and the channel assigning is actually pretty neat. We'll base this off of, we have a very, very basic factory vehicle, only has 4 channels of output on the head unit. So we're going to be doing, you know, left front into channel 1, right front into channel 2, left rear, and then right rear. So we've already got those 2 assigned there. We're going to want to make sure that we assign these channels properly so that the fronts only pull signal from the fronts and the rears only pull signal from the rears. So we're going to do that there, and then we're going to put this up here to the left, or the right, sorry. And then we're going to go left rear, so that's going to be channel 3. And then this will be channel 4 for right rear. We don't need any assignment on that. We don't have any input channels going to it, so we don't even really need to touch that. We can actually just turn those off. Sub channel, again, you kind of need to know where you're pulling your signal from. Most people, they'll pull signal from the front channels for subwoofers, unless there's a dedicated subwoofer input, which these amplifiers will handle. If there was a factory amplifier controlling it, we might plumb that into, you know, channels 5 and 6 or channel 5. We could easily just select the summing output here, channel 5, and it would only pull from that instead of channels 1 and 2. But we'll leave that there for now. So we've got all of our channels assigned. We've got all of our inputs and outputs assigned here. Down here, if you're using the auxiliaries, you're using the optical inputs, or using the Bluetooth, you can actually assign input and output channels for those as well, which is nice. If you're running like a mono speaker, I know we've done a few vehicles where people just want the loudest thing they can outside the vehicle. So we've done kind of marine pods and stuff like that, and we've run them mono because that's all they want is just, you know, the loudest sound possible. So you could easily do that. You sum the two channels together, left and right, and then it doesn't matter where you are around that vehicle. You're getting both left and right signal going to it, so you don't really miss out on any of the music. When it comes to setting up the crossovers and stuff, again, pretty easy. You've already labeled everything here. So left front tweeter, right front tweeter. Every time you select one of these up here, it changes the response or the EQ curve up here. But we're going to worry about crossovers first because that's pretty much the most important thing. We don't want to be blowing up any beryllium tweeters or anything like that. So tweeter, you go up there, and then here's your crossover section. So it's pretty simple. There's only three crossovers in car audio for the most part. When we're dealing with DSP and stuff, we're pretty much always going to use a Linkwitz-Riley. And we're going to set that for the frequency response of the tweeters. So just for argument's sake, we're going to do 2,500 to 20,000. And then we're going to set our slope down here, 24 decibels per octave. The reason why we use that is because when we set the crossovers on other speakers, where they cross over, the crossover points of the two speakers where they play the same frequencies, it sums at the same phase relationship, which is very important in reproducing quality sound. So we've set it for the left front. If we want to copy that crossover over to the right, we can just do that. And now they're both set the same. We'll turn off the link. We can do the same for mid. Usually a mid is going to play, let's say, 350. And then we're going to set this to 2,500. Again, we're going to always want to use Linkwitz-Riley. Not always, but 99.9% of the time, that's what we're going to use. Now, it is nice that it shows up here what your crossover slopes look like, and kind of the range and where you're changing the frequencies. I do like that. Gives you a nice visual representation of what's happening when you're making these changes. Mid-bass driver, same thing. We're going to do 90 to 350. We're going to set this again. Oops. Linkwitz-Riley. And there we go. Same thing. See, it shows up here on the left top. It shows where our crossover slopes hit. So we're going to link those together to copy the crossover over. And we can do the same actually on this side, because left and right crossovers stay the same on those speakers because they're all the same. There we go. So now all the crossovers are set on all of our front speakers. We can do an overlap to show which frequencies we're covering right now, which is nice. So the only thing we're missing right now would be sub bass. So let's go in and set that one. Select over here. So our sub bass be the same thing. Linkwitz-Riley. We're going to leave that at 20. Sometimes you might want to raise it depending on the subwoofer system you have. If it's a ported box, a lot of people like to set a block so that it won't play below 20 hertz. Requires a ton of power. Usually subwoofers don't like playing below their FS of the box and whatnot. So we'll set that at 25, and then we'll bring this up to around 75 or 80 hertz. Now, the reason why we don't go right up to 90 is because the nice curve that we like to set in our vehicles anyways here is there's usually about a 6 to 8 dB boost on the sub frequency. That's just people like that, so that's what we do. But by kind of leaving that gap in the frequency response of the crossovers from 75 to 90, when we boost it up, it gives a nice transition because it doesn't give us a huge boost at 90 hertz. If we were to set it at 90 and we were to do that boost, 6 or 8 dB on the sub frequency, then 90 hertz would be quite a bit louder than all of the other frequencies in the range, and it doesn't sound pleasant. So we'll do that and that. Oh, I set it to 18, needs to be 24. There we go. So our crossovers are all set up on all of these channels. Our input and output is all set up. Pretty much from this point, we're going to want to verify the polarity. That's something that you're going to have to do using your RTA or one of the the tools that Brian sells some. It's just a polarity checker. One of the biggest problems that I see come through the shop for people not happy with their sound if they've gotten an upgraded sound system somewhere is that there's usually 1 or 2 speakers that are out of phase from everything else in the system. And it's one of the easiest things to mess up. I mean, we've done it here as well. Luckily, we've caught it before it's left the bay, but it happens. And if you're spending, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 on a stereo system to have it not sound good because there were 2 wires that were reversed, that's not a very good thing to have. So at this point, basically, once the crossovers are set and your channels are assigned and everything like that, stop the tuning process and go back and check your polarity and make sure that's all good.
Make sure everything's electrically in phase, right?
Right, exactly.
If you don't have that good starting point and you're doing stuff from here, it's just gonna become more of a headache, and you're trying to put a Band-Aid on it when something very simple is wrong, right?
Exactly, yeah. So after that's all correct and you're happy with the polarity of everything, you can come back in here and you can start adjusting your delay and you can start setting up your EQ. So delay is pretty easy on here. It actually has a delay calculator built in. And down here on the bottom of the pane here, right above the zeros, you can actually adjust your increments. You can set it to milliseconds, centimeters, or inches. That's going to reflect the measurement type that you use to actually input your distances. So again, you click up here on the delay calculator. It comes up with every single channel you have with all the channel names on it. And you just start using a tape measure or digital tape or whatever you guys have for measuring. And you can enter your distances. I'm just going to make some up. So we're going to say, oh, no, not 85, inches. So we're going to say that the left front tweeter is 30 inches away. And the right front tweeter is, we'll say 48. That seems pretty good. Left front mid, we'll say that one's 28. Right front mid is going to be 46. Bass, if this is whatever, a BMW or something where the bigger speakers are under the front seat, we're gonna be pretty close to them, so we're gonna say 20 inches on that. And then that one there, we're gonna say 35 inches. So it's all pretty easy. You just keep on entering it in until you're done. Your subs are gonna be pretty far away. We're gonna go 60 on those. And then we've got our rear speakers. So that would be left rear. That's going to be pretty close as well. So it'll be 30 inches on that. And then the right rear is going to be far away. So we're going to be, let's go 50 on that. So it doesn't matter. Whatever the measurements are, they are. You can't really change the distance of the speaker in the car from where you're sitting. That's a fixed thing. So once you get all your measurements entered in, you just hit delay calculate, and it enters all of those in for you. So it's done all the adjustments. It's done all the everything that you need to do to have everything arrive in the driver's seat as the listening spot. So delays aren't something you really want to mess with. Once it's set, it's set. You're not moving around in the vehicle. If you need to have another preset for delays, or you need to have another location for delays, you can enter it into the preset. So you'd want to, when you're saving it, you'd want to save it into like preset 2 or preset 3, where you could change the position of the delays. You don't want to use delays to adjust for a stage or anything like that, because it just messes everything up. Delays are set. Next thing would be your EQ. So up here we have a parametric EQ. If you click it, it goes to a general EQ, which is kind of neat. Most of the time I like to use parametric EQ. It has a lot more ability to adjust things than a GEQ. And it's pretty simple. Basically, we're going to boost. Well, we'll pick something in the pass band. We'll go to a mid-range. There we go. So mid-range, usually we can hear those frequencies really well. So we're going to have probably quite a bit of EQ in a mid-range speaker to get it to sound right. So it's pretty straightforward, just like most EQs people are used to. You got your slider up and down. What's nice about it is if you need to adjust the Q. Now the Q is how many frequencies that, or how wide of a band, I guess, or how wide of a bandwidth that this slider will affect. So you can just grab it and change it. So, and it does it real time. So you can actually have your RTA going beside. And if you've determined that 630 hertz is a problem frequency for you, you can bring it down a little bit. And if it's not doing everything it needs to do, you can play with the Q a little bit to try to smooth that out as much as you can. This is nice because you can do a lot more work with one slider than having to have, on a GEQ, you have to select a whole bunch of things to bring down this frequency range here from 400 to 800. With the parametric EQ, you can do it just by using that one slider up here. So it makes tuning a lot faster. It makes EQing a lot quicker. And other than that, there's really not much else to this DSP. It's all on this one page, and it's pretty straightforward. What do you think of that?
I'm ready to set up a DSP now.
Perfect.
I'll tell you, by the time I'm done these sessions, I'll be able to set up every DSP. But this one, I gotta say, there's a lot of features about it that I want to talk about. But before we do that, I'm going to give you guys a quick break. You guys have been at it pretty hard. Great presentation, guys.
Sure.
We're going to play a second video. And when we come back, we're going to discuss some of the key points, not only from the hardware, but also from the software side of things. Don't go away. All right, guys, let's talk about hardware real quick since we started with that. You dropped you basically went over the entire line, Jaron. Do you have some models with us that are kind of like really popular you kind of show off right now that you have in hand?
So we got the two flagships I got here. So Tune 12 and then the M12. We want to show you the presentation of this a little bit. You open up the box. You can see in that first video, slid it open. Very good presentation here. You open up your box here and you see that glass front that just looks really amazing. And then I'll pull out.
Nice packaging there, Jaron. Nice packaging for sure.
Yeah, that really classy black packaging that everyone's going with. Your fancy new iPhone comes with, and your new Samsung. So very nice glass front Musway device. You can see all the outputs on that side, inputs and outputs with your adjustment pots. And then on the other side, you have those Molex connectors. I'll hold it up to the camera here. It'll focus. So
which one is this again? Sorry, I didn't catch the model. This is the Tune 12?
This is the Tune 12. So this is the 12-channel DSP.
All right.
And then we also have here the new M12.
That's a 12-channel amplifier. It's not very big.
12-channel amplifier, 16 channels of DSP.
Oh, interesting. I'd take one of those and do two of them and do one on the left side and one on the right side. What do you think, Autumn? That would be a clean set.
That used to be one of my go-to systems was 2 5-channels. One on the left, one on the right.
But that's 2002.
That's
Nowadays,
now, though. Yeah, no, we got integrated everything.
Two 12 channels.
5-channel isn't enough anymore.
No,
it's not.
That's small potatoes.
But that, if you could just hold that up like this, I mean, I just want to show that is a nice, clean, sexy package with so many different options. Now, does that one was that the one that you were talking about, guys? Whereby if I'm not using 2 or 4 channels, that'll kind of redirect the power. Is that what I understood? I just wanted clarity on that a little bit.
Yeah, just the speaker outputs on it. So it has 12 channels of output on it. So like we were saying, that if you have a system that doesn't have a full 12 channels, those channels can be bridged and added together like an Autumn that's shown in that software. Very common one is your mid-bass drivers in the front to get more power, more mid-bass. That's
a little bit more punch up. Yep.
A little bit more punch up front. That's a main thing that customers are looking for that are lacking in a bunch of systems. And if you have that high quality, like little plug here, Focal 8s in the door, but there's an amp that can power them.
See, when I see a 12 channel like that, it kind of inspires me to even do actives in the rear. You know what I mean? Like, because you have the channels.
You have the channels to do it, right? Gives you that option for that center channel if you want.
You could do like 3-way up front, actives rear, center channel, and subs on one amp, basically, if I did my math right. What do you think of that 12 channel, Autumn, real quick?
I love it. I haven't put one of these into a vehicle. Like I said, it just came into the barn there just recently, but I'm pretty excited. I've done lots of multi-channel systems and multiple amplifiers and stuff. You know, space is a premium. This is actually a fantastic option to save on space and just make things a little bit easier.
While I got you on that, Autumn, when you're talking about your different features, you mentioned a couple key ones that you were really like favorable on. Which one would you pick if you had to say, hey, what's one standout feature from this software that like dealers just need to know about that makes life easy?
For me personally, it's that everything is on one page. You don't have to fumble through a whole bunch of different menus. You don't get lost anywhere. Everything is always right in front of you. And with the way that the readout on the top is set up, you can actually see real time what you're changing and on what channels and everything all on the same page, which makes it really easy to set up.
Absolutely. Very, very cool. I guess as a final question, Musway, let's repeat, new player to the game, great selection of DSP and DSP powered amplifiers, multi-channel all the way to that new M12, which basically matches also the Tune 12 on the DSP standalone side of things. If you had to talk to a new dealer who just watched this, Jaron, sum it up in one thing, why should they try for themselves right now? Musway?
They should try it for themselves, because once they hear it, they'll be a believer. Put it in your vehicle, try it, put it in, if not your vehicle, put it in one of your customers' vehicles. They look amazing. It would be included in any high-end custom system. I could see those amps just sitting there looking great in any amp rack. And then once you hear it and once you set it up, like, how long did it take Autumn to go through that setup there, right?
No, that was real time, right? Like, that was real time. There was no fast forwarding.
Real time, initial setup, short of taking a few measurements, assigning your channels. You're pretty set up, and you have a pretty good baseline to start RTAing and playing from there, whether you're going to see holes in cars and stuff.
Yeah. Would you say, Autumn, like, that process there will get you to what, 85, 90% of the way, and the rest is salt and pepper?
Yeah, if everything going into the amplifier is done properly, then yeah, you can get to 85%. I'd say realistically, even if you're new to the whole process, within 45 minutes, you should be able to get to a deliverable product for the customer.
Beautiful. If you're tuning in and you stuck with us, this Musway is something that interests you. Well, first you want to go to their website, because they got all the information in detail, all the specs. Check it out, Musway.com. That's where you want to go. Pretty much every product that we covered today will be on that website. And if you're interested and you're a Canadian dealer, then certainly you want to be able to contact the team over at BB Distribution. We'll put up those graphics in a second. I want to say thank you to Autumn as well as Jaron for coming in and talking to us about Musway product as well as software. And we really look forward to the next one.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, so there it is again. Again, if you're looking for Musway, make sure you check out their website, musway.com. That's where you want to go. Literally, I was just on there recently, and I think even the new 12-channel amplifier specifications are on there. So I know it's interesting for me. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Check that out. And of course, BB Distribution is their Canadian distributor. So if you're a dealer, call them up. Get you some Musway goods. Man, if you've tuned into this video and you're watching this whole month, you're going to realize that all we're talking about this month is DSP. We call it the DSP sessions. We are going one-on-one with the DSP brand every single day, right through till Thursday, July 28th. And I got to be honest, pretty proud of the fact that we literally have every single brand presenting here on CMA Networks. And if this is not enough and you want to learn more, we've done other Musway videos as well. Check out our website, cmanetworks.com. You can search for this and hundreds of more videos by either searching by brand, by category, or maybe you want to search, BB Distribution. They have their own channel that you can look at all the great videos we've done for all the products that they currently carry. That's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in to this CMA workshop presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
Let's talk about stop it. Today where I'm going to topics.
Roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on SiriusXM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?